Chosen one, 48 hours ago, something shifted beyond the veil. A silent confrontation unfolded in higher realms, unnoticed by the world below. No thunder, no signs, just a sealed verdict reached by forces that do not announce themselves. A battle concluded without witnesses, records closed, energy withdrawn, and the outcome was irreversible. You felt it before you understood it. The sudden exhaustion without reason, the strange calm after pressure, the quiet sense that something heavy had lifted, even though nothing in your outer life changed. That was not imagination. That was aftermath. This message is not reaching you by chance. It's reaching you because you were at the center of that unseen conflict. You have always felt different, too sensitive for this world, too aware, carrying pain you couldn't explain, compassion that cost you, strength that grew in isolation. You learned to survive without applause, to endure without being understood, and still, you kept choosing integrity when no one was watching. That invisible war was never meant for your conscious mind. It was fought on levels where memory is blocked, where only essence acts, and you won it by staying who you are, by not becoming what tried to break you. In this video, I will reveal what you did without knowing, why you were targeted, and what this victory unlocks next. If you leave now, you leave the message incomplete. Stay to the end, and comment 777 if you feel this truth resonating inside you. You've been carrying a weight that doesn't make sense on paper. On the surface, nothing looks wrong enough. You sleep enough hours, you eat, you function, and yet, rest never truly arrives. You wake up already tired, like your body has been working all night on something your mind can't remember. Some mornings feel heavier than others, for no visible reason. Your limbs feel dense, your chest feels tight, as if effort is required just to exist. There are days when even simple tasks drain you. Sending a message, making a decision, getting out the door. Things you used to do automatically now require intention. You ask yourself why. You check your habits. You look for logical explanations, but nothing fully accounts for it. And the lack of answers makes it worse. You've also noticed how lonely it feels, even when people are around. You can be surrounded by noise, by conversation, by movement, and still feel untouched. Conversations stay shallow, transactional, surface level. When you try to explain what's going on inside you, words collapse halfway out. You sense that people don't really want the full truth. Or maybe they wouldn't understand it even if you gave it. Family may care, but they miss the core of what you're living. Friends listen, but their eyes drift. You stop trying after a while. You smile, you nod. You carry it alone. You leave rooms feeling more isolated than when you entered them, wondering how it's possible to feel this unseen while being physically present. Then there's the quiet leakage in your life. Money that should stretch somehow disappears. Not in dramatic losses, just slow erosion. Expenses pop up. Delays interrupt momentum. Plans that once felt solid start to wobble. You do the math again and again, and it never quite balances the way it should. Progress feels frozen. You're not going backward, but you're not moving forward either. Just stuck in this strange holding pattern. Enough pressure to stay anxious. Enough uncertainty to keep you doubting yourself. Nothing loud enough to justify panic. Nothing calm enough to bring peace. Emotionally, it's been confusing. You're not broken. You know that. But you are worn. You're tired in a way that sleep doesn't cure. Still, you continue choosing kindness even when it costs you. You show up even when no one notices. You hold your word. You resist becoming bitter, even when it would be easier. And yet you keep wondering why doing the right thing feels heavier than it should. Why integrity seems to come with friction instead of flow. Why every time you choose growth, resistance appears right after. It doesn't feel fair, but more than that, it doesn't feel random. Underneath all of it lives a feeling you can't quite name. A quiet signal, a sense that something is off. Not fear, not paranoia, more like intuition knocking without a label. You feel watched, not by eyes, but by timing, by patterns. By the way, events line up too neatly to dismiss. You notice how challenges don't arrive alone. They arrive in clusters, tight groupings. Work pressure spikes at the same time, emotional strain intensifies. Physical fatigue shows up exactly when you need clarity. One thing would be manageable. 3 at once feels intentional. Stop for a second. Look at the pattern. What you've been experiencing didn't arrive one problem at a time. It arrived in waves, coordinated, compressed. That's not how ordinary bad luck behaves. Random chaos is messy. It scatters. It lacks rhythm. What you've lived through has rhythm, precision. It hits right as you begin to stabilize. It presses when you commit to growth. It escalates when you refuse to harden your heart or abandon your values. The timing matters more than the events themselves. You didn't imagine how suddenly it intensified. One week you were managing. The next, everything demanded attention at once. Bills, decisions, conversations you weren't ready for, old wounds resurfacing without warning, people testing your patience out of nowhere. Too much, too fast, too synchronized. And here's the part no one ever explains. When pressure is coordinated, it usually means response is being measured. Not punishment, measurement. Something unseen was watching how you move under strain. Not what you say, not what you claim to believe, but what you actually choose. You were tempted to check out, to numb yourself, to retreat emotionally, to take shortcuts you normally wouldn't consider. You were given opportunities to compromise quietly, to justify it, to say, just this once, and yet you didn't. You stayed present. You stayed clean in your decisions even when no one would have blamed you for folding, even when no one was watching, even when it cost you comfort. That matters more than you realize. Behind the scenes, there are systems you don't consciously perceive. Call them forces, call them laws, call them counsels. When a soul consistently chooses integrity under compression, it triggers something. Not judgment, review. Evidence begins to accumulate. That's why this didn't feel like a normal hard season. Because it wasn't. It was a narrowing corridor, a controlled environment, a test of alignment disguised as exhaustion, a pressure chamber designed to reveal what you default to when comfort is removed. You were not failing. You were being observed, and observation always intensifies right before a verdict. You may not remember agreeing to this at a conscious level. Most people don't. These decisions are made deeper than memory, deeper than personality, but your life carries the signature of someone who accepted responsibility before convenience, someone who chose long-term truth over short-term relief. That's why the resistance felt personal. That's why loneliness sharpened instead of softened. That's why doubt whispered louder when you were closest to clarity. None of this was random. None of it was wasted. Something larger has already shifted. You haven't seen the evidence yet, but you felt it. That subtle easing, that moment where the pressure lifted just enough for you to breathe, the quiet after tension that you couldn't explain. That was not imagination. This is only the beginning of the reveal. What you stepped into was not just hardship. It was a coordinated field, a quiet battlefield designed to look like ordinary life. The reason it felt personal is because it was targeted. Not everyone attracts this kind of pressure. Only those whose presence disrupts something deeper by simply staying aligned. You were marked not for weakness, but for consistency. Your compassion didn't dim under stress. Your honesty didn't collapse under scarcity. Your restraint didn't vanish when provoked. That combination is rare, and rare frequencies always draw attention, both light and shadow. This is how invisible wars begin. Not with noise, with timing, with pressure placed exactly where it will test your core. Your fatigue wasn't random. Your delays weren't accidental. They were probes, checks, signals sent to see where you would bend. Stop. Notice this. The attacks never came as one obvious blow. They arrived as categories. Doubt was the first. Quiet questions planted in your mind late at night. What if I'm wrong? What if none of this matters? Then fear followed, fear of loss, fear of standing alone, fear of being misunderstood forever. Delay was next. Things slowing down just enough to frustrate you. Emails unanswered. Doors almost opening, then stalling. After that came sabotage. Plans unraveling at the last minute. Miscommunications that shouldn't have happened. Loneliness tightened the pressure, people pulling away without explanation. Then provocation. Someone pushing your buttons, testing your patience, inviting you to react instead of respond. Guilt crept in quietly, making you question whether wanting better was selfish. And finally, temptation. The offer to abandon your values for relief. Just this once. This wasn't chaos. It was a sequence. These strategies are not new. They are used because they work on most people. The objective is simple. Fracture your alignment. Make you abandon who you are. Turn compassion into bitterness. Turn patience into resentment. Turn integrity into compromise. And yet something disrupted the plan. Because instead of collapsing, you slowed down. Instead of lashing out, you paused. Instead of choosing the shortcut, you carried the weight a little longer. That's when the field shifted. That's when observation became escalation. You need to understand this part clearly. When you don't break where you were expected to, the test intensifies not to punish you, but to confirm. This is when tribunals convene, not in places you can see, but in systems that measure consistency under pressure. Evidence was gathered, not from your words, from your refusals, from what you didn't do when no one was watching, from the restraint you showed when retaliation was justified, from the honesty you chose when deception would have benefited you. Pause here. This matters. There is a universal law that governs these moments. When something is taken unjustly, energy, time, peace, opportunity, and the soul remains aligned, the record must balance. Not symbolically, literally. The directive is simple. Return what was taken. Add interest. That reversal doesn't announce itself immediately. First comes silence, a strange calm. The pressure lifts slightly. You feel it but can't explain it. That's the verdict locking in. That's the system shifting from testing to compensation. And compensation always follows a pattern. The first thing to return is clarity. Not answers shouted from the sky, but mental fog dissolving. Decisions becoming easier. You start seeing what matters and what doesn't. Confusion loosens its grip. That's your signal. The second is clean provision. Not reckless abundance, but resources arriving without strain. Unexpected support. Expenses easing. Opportunities aligning without you forcing them. It feels quieter than struggle. That's how you know it's real. The third is acceleration. What was stalled begins to move. Conversations happen at the right time. Doors open without resistance. Momentum returns, but smoother than before. Less push, more flow. Watch for these signs. They come in this order. But before the return fully manifests, there is always one last wave. A final pressure surge. It feels familiar. Doubt whispers again. Old triggers resurface. Someone may test you one more time. This is not failure. This is confirmation. Do not panic when it happens. Stand still, because this wave is not designed to break you anymore. It's designed to see if you'll abandon what you already proved. And you won't. You've already crossed the threshold. Now here's where it becomes personal. Think back to the last 2 to 6 weeks. There was a moment, you know the one. You were exhausted, disappointed, maybe hurt. Someone gave you an opening to act against your values, a lie that would have protected you, a reaction that would have felt justified, a shortcut that would have made things easier. You paused. That pause was not small. That pause was the pivot point. You didn't know it at the time. You thought it was just another quiet decision no one would notice. But that was the peak of the invisible battle. The moment everything hinged on who you chose to be when it mattered most. And this is where the next part begins. It happened in a moment that looked ordinary on the outside. You were tired enough to justify anything. Your nerves were thin. Your hope was low. And someone or something placed a shortcut right in front of you, perfectly timed to match your weakest hour. You remember the tension in your body. The inner voice that said, just do it. Just end the struggle. The impulse to become colder so it wouldn't hurt anymore. The temptation to take the advantage, twist the story, protect yourself with a clean lie. It would have been easy. It would have been invisible. It would have been applauded by the part of the world that worships survival over truth. Stop. This is the microsecond the war was decided. Because in that exact window, you felt a second presence. Not dramatic, not loud. A quiet authority inside you that refused to betray your own soul. You didn't choose revenge. You didn't choose deception. You didn't choose to poison your character just to win a moment. You chose the harder path while nobody was watching. 2 to 6 weeks ago, that was the bending point. Maybe it was a message you didn't send. Maybe it was money you could have taken but didn't. Maybe it was a truth you spoke even though it cost you comfort. Maybe it was forgiveness you offered without receiving an apology. Whatever form it took, The spiritual record marked it as the same thing. You refused the shortcut. And here's what most people don't understand. The invisible war isn't fought with weapons. It's fought with decisions. The shadows don't need you to fail loudly. They only need you to compromise quietly. One small betrayal of yourself. One, just this once. That's the entry point. So they used the full sequence. Doubt to blur your vision. Fear to shrink your future. Delay to exhaust your patience. Sabotage to make you question your competence. Loneliness to make you desperate for any relief. Provocation to trigger a reaction. Guilt to make you punish yourself. Temptation to offer comfort at the price of your integrity. And you didn't bite. Stop again. Do you understand how rare that is? That refusal triggered the tribunal. Not metaphor, not poetry. A real review in the realm where intent is weighed and patterns are audited. The tribunal doesn't listen to speeches. It studies consistency. It replays moments where you could have harmed someone and chose restraint. Moments where you could have lied and chose truth. Moments where you could have taken the shortcut and stayed clean. And when the evidence was presented, a protocol activated. The same protocol that terrifies dark systems because it cannot be appealed. The verdict was not, "Good job." The verdict was a command. Return what was taken. Add interest. That's why the pressure eased. That's why the field shifted. That's why the attack campaign started losing coordination. Because when the tribunal speaks, the shadows must retreat. Not because you yelled, not because you proved yourself to people, because your integrity became a force they cannot corrupt. The moment you stayed aligned under compression, you became legally protected by a higher order. And the dark cannot trespass where it has no permission. Now listen closely. The return doesn't arrive like fireworks. It arrives like precision. 3 things return first, in this order. Clarity, clean provision, acceleration. Not someday, soon. Often within 7 to 21 days after the verdict locks, clarity will show up as mental quiet. Your mind stops spinning the same loop at 3 a.m. You wake up with decisions already formed. You cut through confusion faster. You will start seeing who is real, what is real, and what has been draining you. That is your first receipt. Clean provision will show up next. Not lottery drama, not reckless wealth. Clean money, clean opportunities. A bill that gets resolved. A client, a job lead, a refund, a bonus, a support you didn't expect. The key sign is this. It won't feel like you had to beg the universe. It will feel like something unclogs. Acceleration comes after. Things that stalled for months move in days. Messages get answered. Doors open with fewer obstacles. Projects complete. Your energy returns in waves, not all at once, but enough to make you realize you were never lazy. You were under pressure. Stop, but don't relax too early. Because right before the return becomes obvious, there is always a final pressure wave. It's the last attempt to provoke you into undoing your own verdict. It may last 48 hours. It may last 72. It may come as one sudden conflict, one unexpected expense, one person trying to drag you into old patterns. The goal is simple. Get you to react like the old you. You will recognize it by how familiar it feels. The same kind of doubt, the same kind of irritation, the same kind of, what's the point? That's not a sign you're losing. That's a sign you're close. When the last wave comes, your job is not to fight harder. Your job is to stay still and stay clean. Because you are not who you were at the beginning of this story. You've already crossed into a new classification. You've already been filed under a new protocol. The field around you is changing. Toxic connections will start slipping away without drama. Your tolerance for manipulation will drop. Your intuition will sharpen. Your peace will become louder than your panic. And yes, you'll see signs. Not for superstition, signals. Repeating numbers at key moments. Sudden, almost accidents that you narrowly avoid. A strange lack of attachment to what used to hook you emotionally. A calm certainty you can't explain. These are markers of a protected path. All of that pain wasn't designed to destroy you. It was designed to reveal you. To forge you into someone who can carry more without becoming darker. To prove you can be powerful without being cruel. To show that even under pressure, you don't sell your soul for relief. You didn't just survive an invisible battle. You won it without even knowing you were in combat. And that is why the tribunal moved on your behalf. That is why the return is already in motion. That is why the next season will feel different even if the world around you looks the same at first. You are the omega of integrity. Comment 222. Chosen one. The tribunal has already stamped your case. Not pending. Not under review. Closed. Sealed. Recorded beyond reversal. What you endured was seen. What you chose was measured. What you refused to become was noted. You already crossed the bending point 2 to 6 weeks ago, even if you didn't mark the date. It was the moment you stayed true while exhausted. The moment you didn't retaliate when you were provoked. The moment you told the truth when silence would have protected you. That single decision outweighed months of pressure. And because of that, the law activated. Not a belief. Not a metaphor. A law. Return what was taken. Add interest. This is not a suggestion. It is not delayed by doubt. It is not canceled by fear. You are not just surviving. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are the omega of integrity. That title doesn't mean louder power. It means quieter authority. It means the kind of strength that doesn't need to dominate to prevail. It means when systems try to bend you, they bend instead. It means your alignment has become non-negotiable to the unseen. Now listen carefully, because this next phase will feel different from anything before it. In the next 14 days, clarity returns first. Not dramatic revelations, not visions, but a clean mind. The noise drops, the fog lifts. You wake up one morning and you just know what to do. Decisions that used to spiral suddenly land. That's the first confirmation. Then, clean provision follows. Not chaotic abundance, not risky gain. Clean support. An expense resolves. A resource appears. Someone offers help without being asked. Something unblocks that has been stuck for months. And the key sign is this. You don't feel desperate while receiving it. Then acceleration ignites. Momentum without friction. Messages answered faster. Doors opening with less resistance. Plans moving forward without you forcing the universe to cooperate. You'll notice time itself feels different, less drag, more flow. But hear this clearly. Before these returns become obvious, there is almost always a final pressure wave. It may last 48 hours. It may stretch to 72. It may show up as a sudden emotional trigger, a sharp doubt, a familiar temptation, or a person from your past testing your boundaries one last time. This is not regression. This is confirmation. The final wave is designed to see if you'll abandon your new level for old relief. Do not negotiate with it. Do not overreact. Do not explain yourself to the past. Stay still. Stay clean. You don't need to prove anything anymore. Your record already speaks. And here's what changes now, even if you don't announce it out loud. Your tolerance for manipulation drops. Your appetite for drama fades. Your need for validation weakens. You begin to feel less attached to people, places, and patterns that once had power over you. Not because you're cold, but because you're clear. You'll notice signs, not to impress you, but to orient you. Repeating numbers at moments of choice. Near misses that quietly protect you. A calm certainty where anxiety used to live. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations of a protected path. The pain you walked through was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to refine you. To make sure that when influence comes, it doesn't corrupt you. To make sure that when provision comes, it doesn't own you. To make sure that when power increases, your integrity is already stronger than the temptation to misuse it. That is why your path felt lonelier than others. That is why shortcuts kept appearing and disappearing. That is why pressure came in waves instead of once. You were being trained without being told. And now, you stand at the edge of a quieter season. Not a perfect one, but a cleaner one. Where effort produces results again. Where rest actually rests. Where your inner compass feels trustworthy. You don't need to rush. You don't need to announce your transformation. You don't need permission to be who you've already proven you are. Now repeat this sacred sentence slowly, not as hope, but as law. I will not trade my integrity for relief. Let it settle in your body. Let it anchor your next decision. Let it be the line nothing crosses again. And if you are claiming this level, if you recognize yourself in this passage, if your spirit feels steady instead of frantic, if you know this wasn't random, comme un 777.